to run, so that means I got to get these titties out, right? So here we go. Oh, I'm stuck. So here's what I do with my shirt, because a lot of times I'll park somewhere in downtown Davis and then I come through here and I don't want to go back to my car. I don't want to walk through downtown Davis with my shirt off, which sometimes I end up walking back through there, but I feel like a butthole, so I usually actually just stick my shirt right up here. You can have your own marksmellybell t-shirt. Just make sure you tag me and post about it. All right, so it's right there. It's right by the shovels. The shovels are over there behind Makuni. Today for our run, I'm going to be using these pulsers. These are from David Weck. It's called a Pro Pulse. Okay, part of the reason why we're using these is so I can learn the proper flow of a run. For some people, they might feel like they got it already, they understand it, but this is what it does for you. And it'll look different depending on how you're moving, but the idea and the objective of these is to try to get them both to go. Again, this is to help absorb some force into the ground. If you think about, like, if I'm about to jump, okay, what's the best way for me to go up? Is it to go, or is it to go? If I get downward energy, what do people do when they jump? They throw their hands downward energy and up, right? So it might seem kind of weird, but a lot of times our energy is coming from that downward shake. So as I'm running, I'm trying to get them. It'll be a little annoying for people, but you get to kind of just cruise right past them. This is, again, created by David Weck, the guy that created the Bosu ball. And one of the easiest ways for me to learn this is for me to kind of start this way. And so that's usually how my run will kind of start. Again, it's energy down. What David Weck will say is that the up is free. So that's what I'm doing, that's what I'm working on, and these have been really, really pivotal because I kind of have a little bit of a theory on running, and I think that once you get the upper body to start to move the right way, the lower body flows with it. Obviously, we're getting a lot of feedback from the lower body, from our legs hitting the ground and so on, but there's a little less variation down at the lower body than there is in the upper body. In the upper body, we can move this way, and we can kind of move this way, and you're trying to really marry those two things together. Once those two things come together and you get the head going over the foot back and forth, then you'll notice that things will line up well throughout the lower body. At least that's what I've found so far. Please excuse me, I'm very new to running, so I don't know a lot, but I'm learning as I go, and I want to continue to make progress. So here we go. Sometimes I will intentionally want to have my hearing of them be like further apart, like longer, so it's a float of each stride. If I get my arms going forward and backwards, every once in a while I get out of sync. I'll have to sync it back up again. Go see some beautiful shit. We're out and you run. University of Davis is right here. Pretty cool stuff to look at. Pretty cool stuff to see. Like, get off course for a little bit. Have some fun with it. Like, you don't see no watch, no phone. Sometimes I have my phone with me, play music, stuff like that, but I don't sit there and look at like, oh look, I did a 9:53 mile. Or I did a 9:30 mile. You want to know one of the main reasons for that? It's because I fucking suck at running. So I'm not going to record shitty ass times. Become more professional. That's when I'll start to pay attention to that a little bit more. Now, just having a lot of fun. And even then, I might not pay attention to it. Who knows? But I like playing with shit, testing things out. What if I run like this? What's that do? What if I run more upright? What if I'm more forward? I might get a little fatigued. That was a pretty good energy burst for me back there. Low and slow. Treat myself good. Treat myself right. Okay. Feels like we're okay. Let's get back into it again. And what if instead of the time, instead of how far I'm running, and instead of how fast I'm running, I'm just paying attention to being in the moment and having a good time with it. Let me make as much noise as possible as I'm running. Let me see if I can get that double down to bring me over to the other side more explosively. In my opinion, you have to stop taking yourself so goddamn seriously. They say one of the reasons angels can fly is because they take themselves very lightly. Take yourself lightly. Have fun with this shit. Play with it. Be creative. Have fun. Go off the road for a bit. Jump over shit for a bit. Run around the tree. Dodge some cars. Run over some people. And I go back out. Now we have a different kind of run, right? So some people may think that because I'm going this way, sideways, then I'm ruining the forces going forward, and that could be true. Some of you guys watching are way smarter than me, know a lot more about biomechanics, and you've probably just been running a lot longer than me. I just started yesterday, basically. But one thing I'm noticing is that by doing this, it's causing a good side to side here. Remember Tyson? He would throw his punches and he'd move at the same time, and he would do that back and forth peekaboo style, right? So we got some of this side to side motion through the head, okay? Now I want to get rotation too, because I'm only rotating off my spine this way right now, okay? As I'm going forward. But I also want to rotate the shoulder, so I'm here and here, right? And so forth. So now we put everything together. When you start to nail this the right way, you start going really like a lot faster than maybe your conditioning is ready for. So a lot of times I'm on these runs, 3 to 4, sometimes 5 mile run. I'll just say to myself, all right, let's hit the gas, you know, anywhere from 5 to 10 times, depending on the day. Sometimes I don't do that at all, but most of the time I do it. What's the rest interval? My suggestion is go ahead and like rest, but never let the rest be so long that you don't feel like running hard again. If you don't feel like running hard again, don't run hard again. So anyway, I'm gonna do a couple of those where I just pick up the speed a bit and do so very gradually. A little pickup. Okay, that feels good. Go a little faster. There's the old water tower. That's about how much water I used to hold in my fat fucking face. You could put a spigot in there and get so much water you could get some good running water for parts of the world that don't have it. Nice easy landings. These shoes, I'll blame it on the shoes. They're a little loud. But when I'm running my other shoes and I don't have these, people are usually walking with their dog or something, and I come running and go, they're like, what the fuck? That's how you know that you're running nice and light. Can't hear you coming. And also, it tells me a lot about your breathing. So let's talk about breathing for a moment. It's a great idea to stay ahead of your breath. Stay ahead of your breathing. So when I'm even just walking and walking up a hill, it's good to prep yourself for whatever it is you're about to do. So let's say that I'm warming up, I'm walking, okay? And I'm doing some walk jogs to get myself ready for the workout. I might start to breathe like this, even without having to. Just as I'm warming up for my run. Why? Because that's a similar way that I'm gonna be asking myself to breathe in a few minutes. So think about, we warm up the rest of the body that way, right? Why do I start out the deadlift with the bar or 135? Why don't I just go right to the big one? It's because I'm prepping myself to do a certain movement pattern a very specific way. So let's get our diaphragm, our nose, our mouth, let's get everything coordinated. Nervous system actually is going to be bumped up a little bit by breathing that way. So just some breaths that way. But in general, if you're doing hard exercise, it's good to start breathing a little harder than what's needed at the moment, unless you're trying to train something very specifically. So in the case of like nasal breathing, you may want to push that a bit, and you may want to have some oxygen debt, and you might want to kind of, work through some of that. But in general terms, stay ahead of your breathing. So right now, I feel really calm, but if I breathe like this, once I start going a little faster again, I can control my breathing. So I can stay ahead of it instead of ending up like hyperventilating, right? If you've been running for a while, I'd love for you to kind of question everything that you once known or once did. I did that throughout my lifting career, always questioning the knowledge, questioning my own knowledge, and even questioning my intuition a bit, and really surveying it and trying to find what I felt was best or right. In your running, there's so many things to work on. I can still relax my eyes, relax my face better. I can relax my shoulders. Sometimes I'm like up in here and I'm a little stiff. So no matter how long you've been doing this for, there's always stuff to work on, stuff to question, and stuff to push. Again, I'm tucking those hips under a little bit. Make sure I'm not doing anything crazy to the low back. Getting a nice stride. Think about the arms going back. Think about that double down. Finishing strong. There we go. Get to enjoy the fruits of my labor. You get to go to Starbucks, you get a drink, walk around town, get a good cool down. That's how my runs look pretty much every day. My best time here at the Arboretum, shovel to shovel, you can test it out if you live in the area, here in Davis, California, behind McCooney. My best time is like 30:47 or something like that. It's been a goal of mine for a little while to get it in that 30-minute mark, and again, I don't know how far it is. I don't measure anything, I just go. And one day could look like that, and another day could look way different. Another day could look low and slow the whole time. I ran a couple days ago, and this took me 45 minutes. I don't stress about it. I'm not like, oh, that was a really slow day. I'm like, no, it was a great day. That was a recovery day. That's the way I look at it. And then the other day I came through here, I ran on the track over here in Davis. I ran through town, then I ran the whole Arboretum. I went all the way down that way, all the way back, all the way past the pond, and all the way back through. And I ran for an hour and 20 minutes straight. And that's kind of the first time I've done anything like that since I did the half marathon, which took me like 4 days to complete. But hopefully you guys are getting a good look at exactly the way that it's looking. I know there's been questions about my training, questions about my like lifting, I guess you'd say, and I'm really not lifting. I guess I could kind of break it down for you and say that 1 to 2 times a week I'm using some cables. There's a really small amount of curls in there. I even discontinued with some of the sled usage and some stuff like that. It's just at the moment I feel good with what I'm doing, and I'm really gravitating towards that, leaning into that as much as I can. And at the moment I don't really feel like there's a lot of reasons to lift. I didn't really lose, you know, running to try to lose weight is an interesting thing. I think if you can get yourself into some situations where your cardiovascular becomes better, and you can get yourself into some situations where you can do a little bit like interval running, then I think it yields tons of benefits in terms of body transformation. But in terms of body weight loss, you have to have a certain level of conditioning to get that, I believe. On another note, if you are way out of shape, then any effort to run will probably help you lose body fat if you can follow that. But I think sometimes there's people that are kind of in between. They're sort of skinny fat, and they're trying to utilize running to help them to get leaner. And longer runs I don't think are going to be the best option for that. I think shorter duration runs would be better for that. And when you bring up your conditioning to the point where the run has less of a negative stressor on the body, then it matters a whole lot less. Does that make any sense? Does any of this make any sense? But like for me, a 30-minute run is not super stressful. So someone's like, that's hiking up your cortisol levels and that's doing this and that. Well, first of all, I use anabolic steroids. I use performance enhancing drugs. Occasionally I take it past the TRT limits. Throw me in jail. Occasionally I'll throw in a little bit of Anavar or Winstrol or something else just to give me a little booster bump here and there. Why not? It's fucking fun. It's what I love to do. But it's nowhere near the crazy amounts I used to use. But my whole point is that if there is any detriment to running, I think some of it's being covered up by some of the performance enhancing drugs. Plus I do really well with my sleep. I use hot and cold therapy. I have a diet that is pretty spot on 90-95% of the time. My sleep has even improved a ton, and I actually think that my sleep has improved through running. So see if you can get yourself in better condition and see if you can get yourself breathing harder. You might be shocked at all the different benefits that might come from it, especially with the sleep. And if you have better sleep, what does that do for your metabolism, right? So it's hard for, you know, people sometimes pick apart running and say don't run if you want to lose body fat. I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm just saying it's not always the best place to start for everyone with running. So hopefully that's not too confusing. But if you want to run and you enjoy running and it feels good for your brain, fuck everything that everybody says, because what it can do for your mind, body, and spirit is going to surpass anything that it might be doing in terms of increasing cortisol or some bullshit like that. Obviously you can always overdo it, but that's for the real maniacs. Strength is never weakness, weakness never strength. Catch you guys later.